Hello everybody, it is Pineapple here, back with another video. So today I thought we would do a fun little thought experiment and just look at who are the biggest winners, who are the biggest losers of the ban list that just dropped yesterday. Now it was a very small list, but I think it has some reasonable implications and it's fun to just, theory out who won and who lost, because it does change some slight things for some certain decks. So we'll just hop right into it, and first up, it's Kashira, and they are, of course, the biggest loser of this ban list. They lost their defining boss monster in Kashira Arisehart. They now lack a cohesive game plan, and if you ask a deck like Trudrika, when you lose your format-defining boss monster, they don't come back for a very long time. Kashira Arisehart has gone to get cigarettes, and he's not coming back anytime soon. So good riddance, goodbye, Rip Bozo, you will not be missed. And stay away from my formats. But goodbye, Kashira Arisehart, and you have made Kashira the biggest loser of this ban list far and away. Next up, Dragon Link. We'll put them in sort of losers. I don't think that the hits to Dragon Link that they made in Chaos Space and Magnemut to 1 ultimately change how good Dragon Link is. It makes them slightly less consistent, but I don't think that it makes them so much less consistent that Dragon Link is unplayable or will really affect how good Dragon Link is in the slightest. They'll fill those slots with like more copies of Lubellion and other stuff, so I don't think it ultimately changes anything about Dragon Link, but I guess slight consistency changes makes Dragon Link worse and therefore puts them in kind of losers. Who knows? That deck just will never die, regardless of what you do. Sword Soul, nothing changed for this deck. They neither won nor lost. D-Barrier is still a card in the format that will continue to be a card in the format, and for that reason and that reason alone, just nothing changes for Sword Soul. It's still Sword Soul. Fun going second deck, just not really enough to put up a board and going first. We'll put Lyrilusc, specifically Bird Up, in sort of losers. Many people thought that we might get Simorgh back, Bird of Perfection, but they just didn't bring it back. You can probably bring it back. I'm not sure a card that summons Apex Avian from deck and gives targeting protection is something you necessarily want in the format, but I don't think that it's so broken that, the game would break if you gave us back Simorgh. But for not getting it back, Lyrilusc, you get to be a sort of loser here. Mathmech. Mathmech won on this ban list very much because Bystial Magnemut was limited, and the less Bystials that are in the format, the more likely to resolve Superfactorial and win the game that you have, and therefore, Mathmech, congratulations, you have won on a ban list, despite the fact that Circular is at 1. This was still a big W ban list for Branded as well, because, again, Bystials hurt these decks that want to play in the graveyard with lights and darks. Going for an Albion line and then having your Albaz get Bystialed is the worst feeling in the world. So despite the fact that everyone thought Branded Fusion was going to go to 1, it didn't, and then on top of that, a competitor that hurts Branded got limited. So good job, a counter card got limited, and you didn't lose 2 copies of Branded Fusion. So congratulations, Branded players, you have sort of won on this ban list. Rescue Ace, nothing changed for Rescue Ace, but for that reason alone, just, good for Rescue Ace. They didn't, get the bonus of maybe, banning evenly matched, but Rescue Ace players, you didn't lose anything. Not that I think that there is expected to hit anything, especially with the Snake Eye stuff that's coming. But yeah, nothing changes for Rescue Ace on this ban list. I guess having to play under a Arisehart, a thing that they could do reasonably easy, was, less of an issue, but I don't think anything really changes for Rescue Ace here. Chimera, I'm putting Chimera in the slight winners bracket, just because, they use the Branded engine and not having it limited as many people anticipated it might be is a really nice bonus for them. Getting to, go into Rindbrum and search stuff is really good. So, good for you, Chimera players. You're a cool, fun deck. I'm happy to have you in the format, except when you, rip my cards out of my hand. But that said, I think that as a just winner, that falls for Chimera. Big winners, many people thought that Unchained was going to lose something, maybe a tour guide, maybe Prosperity would get limited. People thought that there would be some sort of consistency hit potentially to Unchained. They might, limit Shavara, limit Yama, do something to the deck because it has been topping all around. And ultimately, they did nothing. They didn't even hit the generic consistency cards like Prosperity. So I think Unchained is a big winner in this list. It is going to continue to be the top deck until people start boarding into stuff like deck lockdown. But that said, good for Unchained. You're still the best deck, most likely. Lab is another huge winner on this list. Many people were anticipating an Eradicator ban, myself included. Many people were hoping for Dimensional Barrier to be banned. We got none of those. Some people even were asking for big welcome limits. They didn't touch Lab, they didn't do anything to Lab, and additionally, the limiting of Magnum Up means less Bystials in the format, which means, less likelihood of your furniture getting Bystialed, and subsequently, I think Lab is a huge winner in this list. It is going to continue to be a tier 1.5, tier 2 deck, hovering around there for a while, not necessarily as a result of this ban list, but just in general as a result. Another big winner, Salad. Congratulations, you now have 3 copies of Gazelle. You are still probably not super great, but good job, Salad players. Maybe there's a chance you will, top some regionals, maybe a YCS here and there. And for that, just having extra copies of Gazelle is always nice. So happy to see it back in the format and on the winners list. Of course, Tearlaments is a big winner on this list. Huge, huge, huge winner. The banning of Arise Heart means less macro effects in the game. Additionally, the limiting of Magnum Up means, your graveyard effects are safer. You're more likely going to only have to play through 1 Bystial instead of, having to play through 2. Big difference between 1 and 2. And subsequently, I think Tier is a big winner on this list. I don't think it resolves the outstanding issues of Tier, which is that, you got to get a little bit lucky when you play the deck. Your opponent has to not be willing to board or respect Tier. And subsequently, I think that Tier is a big winner on this list. I don't think Tier is going to be a top tier contender, but I definitely think that it might, see a little bump in representation, if only because people think it's better and subsequently play it as a result. Striker, I'm putting Striker as a sort of loser because, when Konami semi-limits something as it goes down the list, usually it means they're just going to put something to 3. And I think we all thought we were getting N-Gage to 3, and then we didn't. So for that reason, I'm just putting Striker in the sort of losers. It's not like anything really changed for them. It was more of a, maybe we'll get 3 N-Gage, and then we didn't. Purrely, I'll put Purrely in the sort of winners list. They kind of won and they kind of lost in a certain sense, but basically everyone thought they were going to limit Sleepy to 1 just so that they couldn't draw 6, and then they didn't, which is really nice. But they also kept Dimensional Barrier legal, a card that many people anticipated would be limited, banned, something, and they did not. And so I'm putting Purrely in the sort of winners because, they still have to play through Dimensional Barrier, which they just cannot do without Crossout Designator. But they also didn't, lose anything like they did previously, which is, good for you, Purrely players. Congratulations. We then have, of course, Pendulum as a whole. I'm putting Pendulum in the sort of losers category. You could put them in big losers if you really wanted to. And this is just because with the reveal of the Magic Spectre cards, people thought they were getting Kieran back. Pendulum players are pretty much always hoping for something, whether it's Electromite, Kieran, etc., etc., and they got nothing once again. They don't have to play against Macro Dryden in Arise Heart anymore, but again, I don't think it resolves the outstanding issues that Pendulum faces, which is that it is Pendulum and doesn't get to play non-engine or anything, and subsequently loses. Sprite, I think Sprite's a sort of winner on this list. They didn't lose anything else, Starter stays at 2, Fountain stays at 2, all the Sprite variants didn't get hit, so yeah, good for you, Sprite players. I don't think the engine is powerful enough anymore, especially with Elf still being banned, in order to be super, super great, but I definitely think that Sprite and all its variants are still good. Rikka, I'm putting Rikka as a big winner on this list. People thought they were going to do something, maybe ban Loci, ban Dryas, ban Jasmine, limit Jasmine, do something to the deck, and once again, it just didn't get hit because no one plays this deck for some reason, which is really weird because it's a really good deck. It's a very hard deck, that said. No hits to Rikka means you're a big winner. And next up, we got Prank Kids. Again, people thought we might get Meowmo back. Good riddance, stay on the ban list, you boring, boring deck that is a time win condition. So I am more than happy to have Prank Kids in the small losers bracket for not getting their card back. Vanquish Soul. I'm putting Vanquish Soul in sort of losers. So Vanquish Soul sometimes makes Arise Heart because they play Kashira as an engine. And sometimes you just open a hand that lets you end on Rock plus Arise Heart, and you can't do that anymore. And those hands were like insane, and they were super fun. And the lack of, ability to make Arise Heart in Vanquish Soul sucks. I think it was a super fun, super stupid thing that you just sometimes did, and losing out on Arise Heart it sucks. It was a fun thing you could do, and I'm sad to see it go. Manadium. I'm putting Manadium in the sort of winners. Many people anticipated that Calamity would be banned. It was not for some reason, and I guess you still have that win con if you want to play it. I don't know if that's the best way to play Manadium. I think standard boards are probably the better option to go for. But Manadium, you didn't lose anything on this ban list like many people anticipated you might, so good job. You're a sort of winner here. Zoo, again, no Trident back. Sad, very sad. No, Chakanine says no Trident coming back, and subsequently, Trident being a generic 4 means she's still on the ban list, so we're putting you in the sort of losers. Big losers, again, Harp is still on the list. Orcust, I'm so sorry. I don't know why you're still here, Harp. I don't understand. I truly don't understand why this card is still banned. But that said, it is, and subsequently, you are a big loser because your card should have been unbanned at least like a year and a half ago, and it is still banned. Nothing really changed for Runick variants. You get to keep 2 Fountain. I guess that makes you a sort of winner. Do you want that? You want that, Runick players? Yeah, Fountain is still at 2, which I don't think you played more than 2 copies of Fountain regardless. They didn't limit Tip. They didn't do anything to Runick. I guess Arise Heart got banned, so it's more likely that you'll resolve Fountain because your spells will go to the grave. But good riddance. Happy to see Runick still around. I think it is a cool engine. I just wish it didn't have the banish effect. But that said, this is my winners and losers tier list. If you want to make your own, let me know where I'm wrong in the comments, because I'm certain there will be some of you. But if you did enjoy this, make sure you guys like and subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next one.